On a crisp morning in 2089, the gleaming hull of the Horizon caught the first rays of sunlight as it stood proudly on the launchpad. Commander James Davis squinted upward, barely able to believe that humanity's first true interstellar vessel was ready for its maiden voyage. 50 years of international cooperation, bleeding-edge physics, and engineering brilliance had culminated in this moment. "Beautiful, isn't she?" said Chief Engineer Anna Morgan, stepping beside him. Her weathered hands had guided thousands of components into place over the last decade. "More than beautiful," Davis replied. "She's our future." The Horizon wasn't particularly large by science fiction standards, just under a kilometer in length, but what it lacked in size, it made up for in innovation. Its revolutionary Alcubierre drive could bend space-time itself, creating a bubble that would carry the ship to Alpha Centauri in just 4 years instead of decades. Launch day arrived with global fanfare. 3 billion viewers watched as the countdown reached zero. The Horizon didn't blast off with fire and thunder like the rockets of old. Instead, it rose silently, gracefully, propelled by gravitational manipulators that defied centuries of physics textbooks. As Earth shrank to a pale blue dot behind them, the crew of 38 settled in for their historic journey. They were scientists, engineers, and explorers, the best humanity had to offer. Their mission: to establish the first human outpost beyond our solar system. The journey was not without challenges. 6 months in, the ship encountered an unexpected radiation storm that tested its adaptive shields. When a micrometeor punctured one of the hydroponics bays, botanist Dr. Mark Wilson worked tirelessly to save their precious food supply. But these challenges only served to prove the Horizon's mettle. The ship's systems learned and adapted, its onboard AI continually refining and improving its performance. By the time they reached Alpha Centauri, the Horizon was arguably more advanced than when it had left Earth. The arrival at Proxima Centauri was triumphant. As they established the first human foothold around another star, Commander Davis made a transmission back to Earth. "We came here not as conquerors, but as students. The universe is vast and full of wonders, and the Horizon has merely opened the door." Little did he know that the Horizon-class starship would soon be forced to evolve from a vessel of exploration into something far more formidable. Humanity's emergence onto the cosmic stage had not gone unnoticed, and not all eyes watching from the darkness were friendly. The Horizon had been designed for peaceful exploration, but the universe had other plans. 15 years after humanity's first interstellar colony was established, the attack came without warning. An alien vessel, later identified as a Vex scout ship, appeared near the Proxima Centauri outpost. Initial attempts at communication failed. Then came the assault, a barrage of energy weapons that decimated half the colony in minutes. The Horizon Aya, which had been stationed at the colony, barely escaped to carry warning back to Earth. Admiral Robert Chen reviewed the footage with a grim expression. "We built ships to explore the stars, not to fight wars among them." "Then we adapt," replied General Lena Novak. "The Horizon class was designed to be modular and evolving. We need to evolve faster." Thus began Project HFY, humanity's final yield, a crash program to transform the exploration-focused Horizon class into vessels capable of defending human interests among the stars. The original designers had never intended their creation to be weaponized, but necessity demanded it. The first HFY prototype, the Defiance, retained the elegance of the original Horizon, but with significant modifications. Its Alcubierre drive was reconfigured to create localized space-time distortions that could disrupt enemy weapons. The adaptive shields were reinforced and layered, capable of absorbing and redirecting energy attacks. Most controversial was the addition of the kinetic lance, a weapon that accelerated particles to near-light speed using the ship's gravitational manipulators. The devastation it could unleash was theoretical until the Battle of Ta City. 3 Vex cruisers had surrounded the human research station there. The Defiance arrived, outnumbered and outgunned by conventional standards. Captain Michael Torres gave the enemy one chance to withdraw. When they responded with another attack, Torres gave the order. The kinetic lance fired, and the lead Vex cruiser was bisected as if cut by a cosmic scalpel. The other two vessels retreated immediately. Word of the encounter spread quickly through known space. Humanity, the newcomers to the interstellar community, had teeth. The HFY ships were no longer merely symbols of human ingenuity. They had become statements of human resolve. As more HFY vessels were constructed, they incorporated lessons from each encounter. The Resolute featured improved stealth systems after the ambush at Epsilon Indi. The Guardian carried prototype quantum-entangled communications after the Vex jamming tactics at Ross 154. Within a decade, the HFY ships had evolved from converted explorers to purpose-built defenders of humanity, respected and feared across the region of space humans now called home. But the greatest innovations were yet to come. By 2130, the HFY program had produced 12 vessels, each more advanced than the last. The flagship, Ascendant, represented the pinnacle of human military engineering. Captain Olivia Martinez walked its corridors with justified pride. This was no longer a modified explorer. This was humanity's shield and sword among the stars. The Vex have been quiet for months, her XO Thomas Reed noted during their inspection tour. Think they've finally gotten the message. Or they're planning something bigger, Martins replied. Either way, we'll be ready. The Ascendant featured innovations that would have seemed like magic to the Horizon's original crew. Its hull was composed of self-healing metamaterials that could reconfigure at the molecular level, adapting to different threats. The ship's neural network, a quantum computing array distributed throughout its structure, could process information and make tactical decisions in nanoseconds. Most impressive was the Alcubierre matrix, an evolution of the original drive that could create multiple, overlapping space-time distortions. This allowed the Ascendant to execute maneuvers that defied conventional physics, effectively blinking from one position to another in combat. The innovations weren't all offensive. The Ascendant carried automated medical pods capable of healing almost any injury. Its life support systems could indefinitely recycle resources, making the ship theoretically capable of sustaining its crew for decades without resupply. When the Vex finally returned, they came with a fleet of 50 vessels to the human colony at Epsilon Eridani. They expected to overwhelm human defenses through sheer numbers. What they encountered instead were 5 HFY ships led by the Ascendant. The battle lasted less than an hour. The HFY vessels moved like dancers through the Vex formation, their Alcubierre matrices allowing them to appear and disappear across the battlefield. Kinetic lances struck with surgical precision, while newly developed gravity well generators pulled Vex ships into one another's line of fire. When it was over, 38 Vex ships had been destroyed or disabled. The rest retreated, sending a clear message across known space. Humanity would not be easily conquered. But Captain Martinez took no joy in the victory as she recorded her log entry that night. We built these ships to reach for the stars, not to bring more to them. Yes, we've become formidable, but at what cost to our original vision? The HFY ships protect humanity, but I fear we're forgetting what we're protecting it for. Her words would prove prophetic as humanity faced its next challenge, not from external threats, but from within. By 2160, humanity had spread to 12 star systems, protected by a fleet of 30 HFY vessels. The Vex had signed a non-aggression pact 5 years earlier, and other spacefaring species now approached human territory with caution and respect. Earth celebrated the Pax Humana, a peace secured by technological superiority. But not everyone saw the HFY program as a triumph. On the colony world of New Eden, Professor David Foster addressed a packed auditorium. The HFY ships have become our identity among the stars, he said. We are known not as explorers or diplomats, but as builders of fearsome weapons. Is this truly the legacy we wish to leave? His speech sparked a movement that spread across human space, the Reclamation Initiative, which called for the HFY program to return to its exploratory roots. Fleet Admiral Jessica Taylor watched the growing debate with concern. As commander of the HFY fleet, she understood both perspectives intimately. The HFY ships had secured humanity's place among the stars, but at the cost of militarizing their expansion. "We have an opportunity here," she told the Earth Council. "The HFY platform is adaptive by design. We've evolved it for defense. Now we can evolve it again." Thus began Project Renaissance, a bold reinvention of the HFY concept. The newest ship, Harmony, maintained all the defensive capabilities of its predecessors, but integrated vast scientific arrays and diplomatic facilities. Its mission was not to patrol borders, but to seek out new civilizations explicitly for peaceful contact. Captain William Park felt the weight of history as he took command of the Harmony. His orders were unprecedented: to venture beyond known space not as a show of force, but as an ambassador of human ingenuity and goodwill. The Harmony's first major test came at the fringes of explored space, where it encountered the Meridian, a species unknown to human records. Initial scans showed their technology to be roughly equal to humanity's, a potential rival or ally. Rather than posture militarily, Park activated the Harmony's unique systems. The ship reconfigured itself, opening like a flower to reveal scientific and cultural exchange platforms. Using advanced translation algorithms, he broadcast a simple message: "We come to learn and to share." The Meridian response was cautious but positive. Within weeks, the first human-Meridian cultural exchange was underway aboard the Harmony, its modular interior serving as neutral ground between species. When news reached Earth, the public response was overwhelmingly positive. The HFY ships had evolved again, proving that adaptability could serve peace as effectively as it had served defense. The Renaissance project expanded, converting older HFY vessels for similar diplomatic and scientific roles. This new direction didn't mean abandoning vigilance. The core HFY fleet remained ready to defend human interests, but it represented a critical balance, one that would define humanity's path forward among the stars. By the year 2200, the HFY designation had come to represent something far greater than its military origin suggested. The 50-vessel fleet now included specialized ships for terraforming, deep space research, diplomatic missions, and yes, defense. The Ascendant class remained the backbone of human security, but operated primarily as a peacekeeping force under the interstellar Concordat, a mutual defense alliance that included former adversaries like the Vex alongside a dozen other species. Admiral Marcus Johnson, grandson of one of the original Horizon engineers, stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station. Before him stretched the construction yards where the newest HFY vessel was nearing completion. "She's quite something," said Ambassador Ilara, the Meridian representative to the Concordat. Her iridescent skin reflected the starlight as she studied the massive ship. "The Unity," Johnson replied. "First of her kind." The Unity represented the culmination of over a century of HFY evolution. Nearly 3 kilometers long, it incorporated technology and design philosophies from all 7 species of the Concordat. Its command structure would include officers from each member race, and its mission would be to explore the galactic core, a journey no single species had yet attempted. "Your people have come far," Ilara observed. "When the Meridian first encountered humans, many feared you would become conquerors. We feared that too, for a time," Johnson admitted. "The HFY program could have led us down a very different path." The launch of the Unity was broadcast across all Concordat worlds as the massive vessel activated its drive, a hybrid system combining human Alcubierre technology with Meridian phase shifting. Billions watched the beginning of a new era of exploration. Captain Alina Wright, commanding officer of the Unity, addressed the assembled dignitaries before departure. The HFY ships were born from humanity's desire to reach the stars. They evolved to protect that dream, and then to share it. Now, with the Unity, we take the next step, not as humans alone, but as members of a greater community. As the Unity departed on its 5-year mission, in 2250, 50 years after the Unity's historic launch, humanity faced its greatest challenge yet. The phenomenon appeared without warning, a massive gravitational anomaly on the edge of Concordat space. Scientists named it the Maw, a rupture in space-time that expanded daily, consuming everything in its path. 3 star systems already lost, reported Science Director Laura Collins during the Emergency Concordat Council. At its current rate of expansion, it will reach the core worlds in 2 years. The Maw defied conventional understanding. It wasn't a black hole or any known astronomical phenomenon. Some theorized it was artificial, a weapon or experiment gone horribly wrong. Others believe it represented a natural but previously unknown cosmic event. What everyone agreed on was the existential threat it posed. The Concordat mobilized all available resources. Research vessels probed the anomaly's edges while evacuation efforts began for the systems in its projected path. But conventional approaches yielded little progress. Admiral Jason Blake, commander of the HFY flagship Vigilant, proposed a radical solution. The original Alcubierre drive manipulated spacetime. The Maw is a spacetime distortion. What if we turn our ships into the largest drive arrays ever constructed? The plan was audacious. 20 HFY vessels would position themselves around the Maw, their drives synchronized to create a counter-resonance field. In theory, this could stabilize the anomaly and stop its expansion. In practice, no one knew if it would work or what effect it might have on the ships and their crews. It's our best option, Blake argued. The HFY fleet was built to adapt and overcome. This is what we were made for. The mission was voluntary, but every HFY captain stepped forward. As the fleet moved into position, billions across Concordat space held their breath. The ships formed a perfect circle around the Maw, their drives powering up to unprecedented levels. On the Vigilance bridge, Blake gave the order: all ships, synchronize and activate. 20 energy fields expanded and merged, creating a shimmering barrier around the darkness of the Maw. Ship systems strained under the load, temperatures rising to dangerous levels as the drives pushed beyond their designed limits. "It's working," reported the sensor officer. "The expansion has stopped." For 3 days, the fleet maintained the containment field. Crews worked in shifts to manage overheating systems and structural stresses. Several ships reported drive failures and had to be replaced by others from the reserve fleet. On the 4th day, sensors detected a new development. The Maw wasn't just contained, it was contracting. Whatever tear had occurred in the fabric of space was healing itself, assisted by the HFY fleet's intervention. When it was over, the cost was evident. 3 ships had been lost, their drives catastrophically failing during the operation. 7 more were so damaged they would never fly again. But the Maw was gone, collapsed into a stable gravitational node that posed no further threat. The victory came at a price, but it demonstrated once again the adaptability that defined the HFY program. Ships designed initially for exploration, later for war, and then for peace had found yet another purpose: cosmic preservation. In the aftermath, the Concordat established the Maw Monitoring Station, a permanent scientific outpost to study the remnant and watch for any signs of similar phenomena. The station was built around the Vigilant, too damaged to return to service, but still structurally sound enough to serve as the foundation for humanity's newest frontier post. 300 years after the launch of the original Horizon, humanity had become one of the elder races of the known galaxy. The HFY program, constantly evolving, had produced over 200 vessels spanning 15 distinct classes. Each represented an adaptation to new challenges or opportunities that arose as humans ventured further into the cosmos. On Earth, in the Museum of Cosmic Achievement, Dr. Emily Warren led a group of students through the HFY exhibition. Holographic displays showed the evolution of the ships from the sleek, simplistic Horizon to the massive organic curves of the latest Transcendence-class vessels. The HFY ships weren't just machines. She explained to the wide-eyed students. They were a philosophy made manifest, the belief that humanity could adapt to any challenge the universe presented. One student raised her hand. Is it true that parts of the original Horizon are in every HFY ship? Warren smiled. In a way, yes. Not physical components, but design principles. The adaptive shield geometry, the modular construction approach, the distributed neural networks, all can be traced back to innovations first implemented on the Horizon. Elsewhere in the galaxy, those principles continued to serve humanity's legacy. The Emissary, an 8th-generation HFY vessel, was making first contact with a pre-spaceflight civilization in the Sagittarius Arm. Its captain, Alexander Torres, carefully followed protocols established over centuries of peaceful encounters. In the Cygnus Rift, the research vessel Insight probed the boundaries between dimensions, building on discoveries made during the Maw crisis centuries earlier. Its hybrid crew, humans working alongside members of a dozen other species, pushed the frontiers of fundamental physics. And at the edge of explored space, the Pioneer led a fleet of colony ships toward the Andromeda Galaxy, a 2.5 million light-year journey made possible by the latest evolution of the Alcubierre technology. The colonists would travel in stasis, awakening to build humanity's first extragalactic outpost. What united these diverse vessels and missions was the adaptive spirit of the original HFY concept. Never stop evolving, never stop learning, never stop reaching further. In his personal quarters aboard the Transcendence, Fleet Admiral Daniel Rivers reviewed the historical archives of the HFY program. As the current custodian of humanity's greatest technological legacy, he felt a profound connection to those who had come before, from Commander Davis on the first Horizon to the crews who faced the Maw. Computer, he said, log personal entry. The ship's eye acknowledged, its voice warm and attentive. 300 years ago, we launched a single ship into the darkness, not knowing what we would find. We faced war and peace, discovery and loss, triumph and sacrifice. Through it all, the HFY ships have been our constant companions, evolving as we evolve, growing as we grow. He paused, looking out at the starfield beyond his viewport. The greatest achievement of the HFY program wasn't technological, it was philosophical. We learned that adaptation isn't just about survival, it's about transcendence. Each generation builds upon the work of those who came before, reaching higher and farther than they could have imagined. Rivers smiled as a notification appeared. The Transcendence would soon reach its destination. A mysterious signal source at the galactic rim that defied all known classification. We named the first ship Horizon because that's what we sought. The line where known meets unknown. 3 centuries later, we're still chasing horizons, still evolving, still becoming. That is the true legacy of the HFY ship, not what it is, but what it inspires us to become. As the Transcendence prepared to make its approach, Rivers felt the weight and wonder of human history behind him, and the infinite possibilities of the future ahead. The journey that began with the Horizon would never truly end, so long as humanity remembered the lesson at the heart of the HFY program. The greatest design is the one that never stops evolving.